Hey guys, welcome to another MapleStory video, and this one's going to be probably a very special one, and I think it's going to be one that I can definitely say from like my heart, as opposed to just being information based or things like, a guide or a top 5 or a training guide or something like that. I feel like this video is definitely going to be a little bit more different in that, just like how I made the Is MapleStory 2 Worth Playing video, this may get a little bit emotional or sentimental, or it may seem like I put a lot of heart into it, and if you're not into that kind of sappy and cringy stuff, then I suggest you don't watch it. But for those of you guys who are okay with it, I want you to watch this video and then let me know in the comment section below what you think about my thoughts and what you have to say about this topic and what really resonates with you, because I'm sure all of us have things that we want different about MapleStory, and the community as a whole has a lot of things that we colloquially want to change in the game. And even though Nexon may or may not ever implement these things, I still think it's a good idea to put them out there. And Nexon, if you're watching this video, I really thank you so much if you do. And for everyone else who watches this video, I just want to say thank you ahead of time if you do watch it all the way through. And yeah, let's just get right into it. So even though I said this was not really going to be a top 5, it is 5 things I do want changed about MapleStory. And there are a lot of aspects about MapleStory that are really great today, and there are many aspects about MapleStory that for the longest time ever we wondered why Nexon has never changed or implement them. But even though I don't plan to play the game anymore, I still think it would be really nice for the game to at least have them, or if it could, I wish I had them back then. For the first one, you have already heard this a bajillion times, and I think everyone wants this too. Let's rework party quests. Let's add scaling EXP and change the rewards they offer to allow them to be more viable as both a means of grinding and equipment progression. Additionally, make it so that party quest experience can be increased by sources such as like 2x events or 2x cards. Back in the day, party quests were a way to go undertake the grinding experience together without having to do it alone, and you can make some friends along the way. It was also more enjoyable. Big memories like Monster Carnival, Nets Pyramid, Romeo Juliet, Ludi PQ, Lord Pirate, Kenta in Danger, and etc. They were not only fun ways to train and gain more experience, but they were the best since training on monsters was too slow. And there's a lot of reasons why party quests lost favor compared to grinding. Experience required to level up was reduced twice during MapleStory's timeline, back in Big Bang and once again during the 5th job update. I think like you need less than half the amount of experience that you needed to get to level 200 back then than you do now. Party quest experience is fixed on your level and cannot be increased, which worked fine until there were so many ways to increase training experience. The addition of 2x experience events, experience enhancers like 2x cash shop card, 2x EXP cards like Maple Legion, other small boosters like Elven Blessing, Zero Link Skill, Maple Legion, what have you. It's very easy to stack up to 8 times experience or higher, sometimes even 16x back then when experience boosters were all multiplicative. Plus, Kishin Shokan and Frenzy Totem increasing the spawn rate of maps and decreasing respawn timers served as a quasi-experience booster because more spawn means more experience to obtain. And Party Quest spawn rate is fixed, so even if you had the experience boosters or Frenzy Totem or Kishin, most Party Quests had a fixed number of monsters that could not be augmented in any way. Comparing Party Quest benefit history to training history would be comparing a horizontal line to a line going northeast upwards. Party quests were good but never evolved and improved and did not withstand the test of time, while training did, and now the difference is so high that party quests are a thing of the past. Rewards aren't that great. Back then you needed PQ items like Broken Glasses, Kenta Goggles, Rex's Earrings, Romeo and Juliet Pendant, Spiegelman's Necklace, Rice Cake on your head, the Lord Pirate Hat, Immortal Pharaoh Belt, etc. Those things were great because you just really couldn't find anything else. Now we have item sets that pretty much dominate and universalize equipment progression. Gollux, Tyrants, Chaos Root Abyss, Absolab, and the like. Rework party quests so that their experience is updated to the modern standards for progression and make it so party quest experience is affected by EXP boosters. Also, I think we should update rewards to at least make them suitable contenders or substitutes of the new sets. Endgame gear like Prime Chaos Root Abyss, 22-star Absolab is still very hard to get, so give the players something that can at least be a viable replacement for the time being. They should also bring back and or rework popular training locations now that all the issues are fixed and party players no longer exploitable, like Haunted Mansion, Lionheart Castle, Night Stronghold, Oswan PQ, Monster Park Extreme, and once again give them incentive to train there, such as rare drops, scrolls, and items. The reason Nexon removed most of these locations in the first place is because of issues in the past, such as full map attack hackers, leeching, and stuff like that. But now that those issues have been fixed, reinstate these areas back. Full map attacking with Cannoneer, Jet, or Advanced Teleport no longer works, nor is worthwhile for hackers since they mostly care about mesobotting, not leveling up. And leeching is gone now because in order to leech you have to be locked in combat in order to get the actual experience bonus. Party play bonus increased overall experience gain by 50% for each party member you had, which can equate up to about 250% bonus experience, and Nexon can very easily make a system to where each party member's 50% only applies if they killed like 3 or 5 monsters in the past 10 seconds or something. Lionheart Castle was popular because many players were too weak to take on mobs by themselves and they gave a lot of experience plus the party play. But since damage has been power crept heavily, we can update the monsters to have even higher HP to be all treated like mini boss monsters for a lot of experience. And they should have some incentive to train there, like a special event that happens every 30 minutes and where a rare boss spawns that you can kill for crazy experience or a lot of meso. Not necessarily elite boss, but like an area exclusive mini boss, just like how we used to kill Zeno, Dodo, Laika, Lilynouch, or the Headless Horseman, or Bigfoot, those guys. Some areas in MapleStory disappeared for no reason when there was nothing wrong with it, such as Osmond PQ and Monster Park Extreme, both of which were really fun to do and really rewarding. I think we should reinstate and update them, give us more ways to train and level up. All of these training guides are basically the same. I make training guides like every 6 months and they're all essentially the exact same thing, with maybe a couple differences in areas. There's just not that much to really go about. The variety is non-existent. For me also, now I don't know if this may or may not be a good idea from a practical sense, but we should probably create a universal hub for MapleStory where players can gather to socialize, make friends, or to relax in. For most MMORPGs, and especially in MapleStory, servers are completely isolated from each other, and from a gameplay perspective that's perfectly fine, and so as to limit overpopulation, to maintain a steady control of the player economy, and to not have competition go nuts. Which is understandable as to why it's really bad to have everyone in one server, but it's also really bad to have too many servers. From a social perspective, players should be able to gather together to hang out, host events, take some pictures, or sometimes even gain something out of it that can improve their adventure in their own server. We should create a hub server for players to just go to hang out and sit around. Obviously, you don't want them to be able to drop items or trade because that ruins the market for everyone, but you can make it so there are activities and games you can play that can even benefit you back in your own server, such as, for example, Souvenir from Bara. By playing games or exchanging greetings with at least 10 players from Bara, you can gain an item sack that gives you mesos, maybe a flame, etc. The usual event drops including the pesky, untradeable power elixirs. Nothing too game-breaking, but something worthwhile that encourages you to hang out in the server to chat with others, give us players an incentive to talk to people. It can also make for really great community events like the GMs can do, such as a game-wide jump quest race or maybe Super Bingo, bring back the semblance of community we had for the game way back when. So many players think the game is dead when it's not really that dead. Sure, it may not have seen its better days, but it's still running perfectly fine. The players are just spread too thin. If we can create a location where players can congregate together to AFK and chit-chat, or for the guilds to maybe do some weird things with each other, it can be very helpful to everyone's social and maybe even mental experience of the game. Gameplay can very easily be fixed by the two things I mentioned before, but for this one I think it's going to help a lot with the emotional experience of the game. We should also reward people who go above and beyond for MapleStory. Recently, Riot Games made a partnership program for League of Legends content creators who can finally dedicate their passion for League into a very sustainable thing. Because content creation for a video game is, essentially for all intents and purposes, advertisement that the company themselves does not have to pay for. Nexon does do that for streamers and YouTubers, such as giving them access codes to give away or inviting them on testing servers to serve as playtesters, but not as much as they could be doing. And not just content creators, artists, people who make fan art for the game, blog and forum creators like Basil Market, South Perry, analysts or theorists like players who run numbers and post very meaningful information on things like MapleStory subreddit for players. Players who have a penchant for posting cool and funny memes or gags or shitposts that happen in-game, and guilds that gather together for a large group photo. Players shouldn't be doing any of these things for the benefit of receiving some form of compensation, but they deserve agency in the game that they enjoy. Maybe issue a medal, such as content creator or artist or blog poster that you can level up to get better stats and stuff the more stuff you post. Or maybe you have special NX items that players get to show that they're one of those players. Nexon made a Basil Market balloon a long time ago, and it was actually a really cool NX item and kind of like a cool collaboration from the community. And maybe they can make more of that again. It doesn't have to be big. You don't have to give them some crazy overpowered item, but something at least to know that you appreciate them for their time spent on the game. Players can submit their work to apply for these special rewards. Obviously, this can be exploited, but even so, it's better to have a system that has flaws than no system at all. I do content creation, yes, and I'm not asking for this to get special treatment. In fact, I'm not even asking this for myself. I mean the smaller creators, the people who don't really get noticed all that much. There are a lot of great things I see from the game, beautiful drawings, cute guild photos, and some huge number crunching from people, and they don't get as much recognition as I think they deserve. There's a huge disconnection between players in the game. That's why people tend to lose interest in the game, because they feel like there's no agency to it. If you can give them agency, you can increase community interaction for the game, and you can also increase the love that players have for the game. We should also add more ways to experience the game, different ways to experience the game every time. MapleStory quickly becomes boring because there's only one way to get things done, only one way to train, only one way to scroll, only one set of items to get, etc. Realm of the Mad Gods untiered drops are all serviceable in their own right, such as the various different UT abilities having different properties. The Scepter of Fulmination deals less damage but it hits more targets and slows them. The Scepter of Devastation hits very few targets, but it does huge damage. We need that same kind of stuff in MapleStory because all equips are just stat sticks, which can very easily make a lot of items obsolete because there's an easy best in slot that you can make. New training spots, new item sets, new things to do other than log on, do your dailies and get off. Make an incentive to do something else the next day. Back to Realm of the Mad Gods, sometimes they have chest events that incentivize you to run a specific dungeon. We can do that along with bringing party quests back. Make it so every Wednesday for the next month, a PQ like Kenta PQ has a chance to give you super rare Kenta goggles that's like really good, or maybe increase the experience of that PQ. Every Monday and Thursday you can do something like Special Pink Bean, where by taking Pink Bean out you have a chance to get Eternal Rebirth Flames or super rare drops. Every day there would be a different area in Maple that has a 3x event, like one day it would be Ludibrium, the other day it could be Aqua Road, the next day it could be Dragon Forest, just to make those old areas that no one goes to worth going to maybe once in a while. I'm not talking about events that Nexon does because they do plenty of those. I'm talking about routine activities that you can do. Nexon should make MapleStory on Saturday feel different than MapleStory on Wednesday. Players should have multiple options of training, which is why it was so fun back then because you could train anywhere you wanted. Different gear options, just like how in Realm of the God the UT items aren't superior to each other, but rather alternative versions in case the player wants a little variety in their play. We should have that same thing for our equipment. All in all, I want to bring back MapleStory's community and MapleStory's diversity. Nexon has made the game streamlined so that players, especially unfunded ones, would be able to progress through the game easily, such as spell traces. But scrolling back then was so much fun because you could use Chaos Scrolls, you can use those yellow scrolls, you can even use the standard glove for attack 60% scrolls. There were so many different scrolls you could use. Or training, do you guys remember the old training spots like Truckers and CBD, CDs from Kerning Square, Toy Trojans and Ludi, or even the themed dungeons like Mushroom Kingdom, Christ themed dungeon, and the PQs like Monster Carnival? Those were the best times of my life in this game. Sure, if Nexon brought them back, it wouldn't be the same experience as it was back then. But it's not about the gameplay entirely, it's about the community. Especially since the community is much smaller now, it's when everyone should get together and hang out. We may not be the largest game anymore, but we're still a game with people who play alongside each other. MMOs became popular because you could play with others, make friends, have lasting bonds and connections, and enjoy the game without having to do it alone. A meal is always better with 4 people than 1. A sport is always better with friends than by yourself. Almost everything in the world is better in company with others. I don't play MapleStory that much anymore, but I love this game so much. And I want it to change so that the people still playing can enjoy the game for many more years to come. The main reason that I stuck with MapleStory for so long is not really the gameplay in particular, but the agency that I had, the people that I hung out with, my friends, my channel. MapleStory nowadays is definitely much more competitive and progress intensive. Back then it was purely casual, but it doesn't mean that you can't stop and smell the roses while you're trying to get stronger. Sure, I may be packing up my bags and moving over to MapleStory 2, and depending on how MapleStory 2 does, or depending on how the future plans out for me, I may never come back to MapleStory. I'm not saying that I'm never going to, because I can end up eating those words over and over again, but it's a wonderful game, and it's got a special place in everyone's heart. Everyone who's played the game at least once in their life, even back then, or maybe a little bit now, there's something special about it. And I really liked the game, and I wanted to continue getting better and better. It is getting better. Nexon is releasing a bunch of new content for us, a bunch of endgame content. We're about to fight the Black Mage soon. It's gonna be really exciting. But I think just overall, I think we should establish something a bit more warm. Kind of, a little sappy. And I do appreciate you guys if you did make it all the way to the end. It's a very, I guess, sentimental topic for me. And I still want this game to continue thriving, and even though I may not be playing it that much anymore, there's still people who I know and care about that enjoy the game as well, and it would still be great to see all these things happen. Let me know in the comment section below what you guys think about your thoughts, if there's anything specific about MapleStory that you want changed, and not something selfish to the point where like, oh, I want this to happen so that like unfunded players can get better, but more just like for the people as a whole, for everyone, both pay to win and free to play. But yeah, let's see how long this game can survive for, hopefully for a longer time than a lot of people might think. I'll see you guys in the next video, and take care.